What is going on, everybody? We are very close to rank resets, which is typically when we get any kind of balance update or patch notes. And so I figured it was a good time to do a little bit of a meta analysis, also taking a look at the Mythic tournament that happened really recently. So yeah, let's take a look. What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Roxora, and here we do all things Magic and Magic Spellslingers. I was going to originally use this video to talk about my participation and experience in the Mythic tournament for the official Spellslingers LGS. I think I'm butchering that name, but anyways. Yeah, I didn't actually do too well. It happens. It's a single elimination tournament that happens. You kind of get one bad matchup, and that's kind of it. But I had a good time anyways. But I did still want to talk about that in the context of, it's a good measurement of what the kind of the meta is. A lot of people are going into that tournament not with kind of like what they want to play for fun, but what they think is like the best performing, what's gonna do the best. Not necessarily like what's the one best deck, but like what's gonna give them the best result, right? Obviously it's not like top tier people still kind of having deck preferences or strategy preferences or things like that, so take it with a grain of salt. But yeah. And also take a look at the Spellslingers Guild's website, where they post a lot of the deck lists that are competing in Mythic from their people. These are the kind of real resources that I use to kind of make an assessment of, all right, what are people playing right now, what is performing well, and where I go to get information like this. Before we get into kind of the nitty gritty, if you are enjoying the content and you find this valuable, remember, like, comment, subscribe. Anytime people are reacting or viewing certain things, more than some of my other content, I make note of that. So if you like this, you want to see more, you find this important, make sure to let me know. And yeah, anything like that really helps me out. So before we take a look at some of these deck lists, I have some stuff that I want to look at here, but I did also want to look at this, which is something that we really haven't gotten before. This is what the user Tino has made, I believe, if I remember correctly. If not, correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe it was Tino, and that's relevant not just because of they made this, but also they ended up winning the tournament. They made this afterwards. They didn't know beforehand. um, and this is something we haven't gotten before, right? Is a real graph of what how many decks were present at a tournament, and really seeing that visually and with such ease, which I find very valuable. So yeah, so they just kind of took the notes of the number of decks, put them in here. Again, not hard, but still nice. And also noting the progression through the finals. So some noteworthy things here. There is one, I believe, I don't actually remember how many Planeswalkers there are in the game, but I believe, if I'm looking at this correctly, there are... Oh, I was about to say, never mind. I thought I didn't see Davriel. We do see Davriel. There is one Planeswalker missing from this then. If I remember correctly. Oh, no, there are two. Yeah. Three. There's a couple. Oh, there's four. Jesus Christ. Sorry, I should have made a note of this beforehand. If I'm missing some, let me know, but I believe there are four Planeswalkers missing from here. We have a Johnny. I don't see any Johnny. I don't... Oh, sorry, there's five. Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't see any Ingrath. I don't see any Vivian. I don't see any Drizzt. And I don't see any Vraska even, which surprises me, kinda. I always kind of view Vraska as decent, but I guess some of the nerfs to her cards and Garruk just kind of being better in a lot of ways as the Golgari Planeswalker. Yeah, so those five are the ones that I'm seeing. Right, we even have Jace, which surprised me. 11. How many Jace decks there were? Three Jace decks. There were three Jace decks at this tournament. Obviously I haven't looked at the next couple rounds, but I know that they eventually fall off. And then there are a couple one-ofs in Gideon, Liliana, even Nahiri. Nahiri doesn't surprise me, actually. Nahiri was a good one. Um, yeah. And then we have a couple Nahiri decks, a couple Kaya decks, a couple Davriel decks, a couple Nissa decks. Obviously, the Kaya deck being me, I play the Kaya control deck that y'all have seen me play, and I've done a video on already. I thought that was going to be pretty good, and it kind of was, except for the fact that there were 3 Teferi decks, and the deck has a very bad matchup against Teferi, which I'll kind of talk about. I'll also note that, oh, sorry, I should let me bring up the deck list, actually, because this was also the first tournament where we had sideboards. Right, so we had a couple of decks. So like this Jace deck using like Laboratory Maniac, but then in this they didn't have anything in the main deck for like any kind of control deck, but in the sideboard they have 2 negates, an extra Laboratory Maniac, and then against the aggro decks they had like Day of Judgment, Shell Games, which I found very interesting. I really liked that this was a thing. I liked the way they implemented it. Just kind of 6, you get 6 cards. That seemed like a good amount. We kind of have, it's like just under half that you would get for magic decks, and Spellslingers decks are half the size of normal magic decks, so it is proportional. So sorry, making a little tangent here, but I will talk about that as well. And then yeah, the most represented deck, as y'all probably expected, was Garrick at 22% with 6 copies. So yeah, obviously like Garrick was like the boogeyman of the tournament. And spoiler alert, did end up winning the entire event in the hands of Tino, as I said. So we go on to round 2, and let's see kind of what happens here. Here you immediately see, all right, a lot of the, like I think all of the Nissa decks went. This is strange. This data might not be correct, because this is saying there's 2 Nissa decks, and now they're saying there's 3 Nissa decks. I'm not sure what happened there, but I know that in the semifinal, this number might be wrong. This number might be too low, because I do know that there were 3 Nissa decks in the finals, or in the semifinals, excuse me. So the Nissa, like all of the Nissa decks and all the Garrick decks, I believe, no, sorry, half the Garrick decks make it through, which is kind of interesting. That the Garricks get a little bit of rough the first round, and then a couple of decks like the Chandra deck, the one of the Jace decks makes it through, and things like that. So already you can kind of see the meta is still like very diverse. Then we get to the next round, and immediately you see Nissa is doing extraordinarily well. All 3 of the decks still in contention. And again, a bunch of the other planeswalkers falling off. Nahiri, there's only no Chandra, right? You know, the Chandra decks go away. There's only 1 Teferi deck left. Yeah, so you can see things kind of coalescing into the Nissa decks and the Garrick deck. And then obviously in the finals, the semifinals again, there were 3 Nissa decks and 1 Garrick deck, and somehow the Garrick deck beat them all. Which is really saying something, because it kind of seems like, okay, maybe you look at this and you say, all right, Nissa is like the best performing deck up until this point, and then Garrick just beats those. A lot of people complaining about Nissa, right, being just being like this big behemoth of a deck, and then Garrick just kind of swoops in and beats them all. So what does this mean? Obviously, like, Garrick won the tournament. Does that mean that Garrick is the best deck and he immediately needs to be nerfed? Well, note that in round 1, there were 6 Garrick decks, and yet somehow half of them immediately get eliminated, and in finals there's only 1. Now, obviously, again, this is a single elimination tournament. There's a whole bunch of things that can go on. There's also, there's a whole bunch of different factors that you have to take into consideration. I think the biggest thing for me is this situation here, where there's literally only 1 Garrick deck left, and there's 3 Nissa decks that again are kind of viewed as like the really, really good deck of the week or whatever. And Garrick just beats them all. And again, that might be a matchup thing, right? It might be that Nissa's a little bit slower, and Garrick is better at just beating face. But yeah. So also let's talk about the sideboard stuff. Actually, kind of wanted to see. Ooh, that's a very interesting. So there's. I love looking at the sideboard cards. There's some interesting tech here. So obviously, Tree Top Lookout was a big sideboard card that a lot of people expected. If you're trying to play it against Teferi, and that's like one of your main concerns, Tree Top Lookout is a nice consideration. I'm very interested in this Tracker's Snare and how that performed. Break a Leg seems like a nice sideboard card. My sideboard was Parish Exorcist, which is the thing that turns all stuff in graveyards to 1/1 spirits, trying to play against Liliana Reanimator well. This Redeemed Thief was my answer to Teferi, but it was not as good, and I'm just not going to talk about that. And then I just had some creatures here as kind of, again, just trying to go aggro against the Teferi deck. Yeah, as I ended up playing the Teferi matchup, it didn't end up working out. I blame partial of that to the way that Redeemed Thief is worded, and I probably would have played, constructed my sideboard differently if I knew how that worked. Some people choosing not to play any sideboards, at least from what it seems, and that's people's prerogative. People sideboarding is Chandra sideboarding a Zozu interesting. I was gonna say Empress Spawn. I was gonna say I was interested to see if anyone would sideboard lands, and they did. So he's kind of switched between the two red lands, or 2 of the 3 red lands. Blasphemous Act in this red version of Jace. Is this the this is not Latman. This is just like normal blue-red Jace. Very interesting. Pixie Trickster, Niv Mizzet. Oh, it's Spawning Hellion. Spawning Hellion Jace. Interesting. Negate, Pixie Trickster, Thalia. Aim High is an interesting one. That was in Garrick. I guess just against, like, you know, other decks, you just get two toughness, and you're like, cool, block. That's kind of interesting. So yeah, you can see there's like the sideboard is really where we get to a lot of these very interesting. Ooh, Glade Cover Scout in the sideboard of a Garrick deck. That makes a lot of sense. Break a Leg. Yeah, so a lot of people choosing very similar stuff. Parish Exorcist again from a Sarah player. That makes a lot of sense. So you can kind of see, I like this a lot because it allows for these other cards that are a little bit more niche to see some usage and at least be provide value. Azure Pyromancer from Nahiri, that's very cool. That makes a lot of sense. That would have been very good against B. So I really liked the way the deck submission and the sideboard stuff went. There was some again the single elimination thing, is getting to be a little bit rough. Going from winning the entire tournament to getting knocked out in the second round. Again, it's like, it feels bad, but again, I think people know, like, yeah, it's a single elimination tournament. That stuff happens. Like, Tino literally did not drop a single match. Think about that. And all other people had to do was lose once. So, what was I gonna say? Oh, is that Tarmogoyf and Garrick? That's spicy. That's spicy. That I'm wondering about. Oh, and there's also a General Eladamri. Huh. All right. Sorry, I'm like half talking, half checking out these lists. But yeah, the next submission, the sideboard stuff, was great. The actual way the tournament was actually run in terms of single elimination, the way rounds played out, could have some improvements. But yeah, now we kind of get onto the MTG Spellslingers database here. So I wanted to go through and just type in all the different planeswalkers. They don't have the filtering method from what I've seen anymore. Yeah, they don't have the way of filtering anymore, unfortunately. It was nice to filter just through planeswalkers, but you can just type it in here, I guess. So there are 5. If you type in Garrick, there are currently 5 decks, which I don't know if that's the most. I believe it is the most of the people playing in this guild right now. So obviously we've used Modman's list, and there are a couple of other lists. Some of them running Death Shadows, some of them not. Some of them running. I was gonna say some more Brawling Behemoth. That's a crazy one. All right, so some people being a little trying to go a little bit bigger. This person trying to go a little bit more aggro with like Ghoul Tree Infusion as a removal option. Or sorry, that's the pump spell. Sorry, that's the pump spell. I'm forgetting. I'm thinking of the meteor thing or whatever. Yeah, using Eastwald Outcast, right? Using the sneak strategy as we've kind of discussed on and off. That might be good in Garrick. So when we talk about Garrick, there's not just like one Garrick deck. There's like a couple of different ways. There's like the ones using the Shadow, the ones not, the ones using some sneak cards. But there are 5 lists that are all using Garrick. Let's look at, so we just talked about Kai. There are 2 Kai lists. Both of them are, I think this, oh no, this is a different version of Kai. There's a little bit more the aggro version of Kai with the Persecutor Demon at the top end. Very interesting. And then obviously Modman's Kai control list that I've been playing and having a ton of fun with. Let's see, what about like Chandra? All right, so there's 3 Chandra lists. They're all Chandra lists, nothing too crazy there. I believe there is one, yeah, there's one Driss list. Now switching to using the Paladin class, which does make sense. It can kind of slow down your other draws. Also running Alarm Bell. And then obviously like some of the werewolves and Daybreak Ranger and Ulrich, excuse me. Oh, sorry, I missed another one from this tournament. I missed Ashiok. That was another thing that I missed. No Ashiok. Ashiok, as we all know, is a favorite of mine. I think Ashiok needs a little bit of help here. Here, there's only 1 copy of Ashiok, and it's not even like a traditional version of Ashiok. It is the clone. It is using Death Shadow and Clone Explosion. I believe I've played this list. I don't know if I've done a video on it. I don't remember, but this is obviously kind of a joke. So yeah, definitely think Ashiok needs a little bit of help. I think Ajani has 3 lists. So like Ajani is like, kind of one of the ones where like it can be competitive, but maybe it's not like the best in the game. And I think a lot of people just like don't want to take this to a tournament. Since it's kind of like you either like don't get your creatures removed and have this huge board, or you just get day judgmented or something like that and you're sad. What else going on? What about Nihiri? So 3 Nihiri decks, all barbarian decks. That makes a lot of sense. This deck has solidified itself, right, as a potential choice for aggro decks. I think Jace has a couple. Jace has 3 decks even, so like I feel like Jace is fine and can be untouched. So like there's this version, which is the mill version that I was playing on stream on Thursday. Yeah, last Thursday, and then there's a couple of other, like Academy Jace, which is a control shell, Gutfire Jace, which is, I don't know why people are running Gutfire Devil now, but yeah, and then we saw in the tournament Spawning Hellion, so like I feel like Jace is fine now, where they're not doing the Laboratory Maniac thing to the same degree, but at least I think there was one in the tournament as we saw, but like not doing that a whole bunch, but more just kind of like playing good stuff, drawing cards, and using that for value. So I think that's fine. I think Jace doesn't need any help right now. But yeah, I definitely think that. There are also some Angrath decks that are popping around. I think in terms of the aggro decks, we've seen a lot of big improvements to them, right? Chandra, Angrath, Nahiri, even Domri, all kind of doing things. Actually, I didn't check out Domri. I think there are some Domri lists. Yeah, there's 3 Domri lists. All these guys doing work. Yeah, the classic Gaia's Cradle werewolf strategy that we've seen time and time again. So yeah, and definitely in terms of the main planeswalkers in the game, the ones that people are playing a lot. Oh, there's also some. Sorry, I didn't check out Vraska. I think there's 1 or 2 Vraska lists. There's 3, 2 Grim Echoes and a Craterhoof one. Now, why am I noting these? It's more just to say like, hey, these planeswalkers are still playable. Like there are these people that are experienced players, well performing, high performing players, I should say, that are choosing to play them out and test them out and devote a lot of time to them. Does that mean that these planeswalkers don't need help? No, I think that some of them could. I think Honestly, I hate to say it, but maybe Vraska could use some help. Okay. Oh, I'm forgetting more. There's no Kiora. There's no Kiora in this deck list, even though like I kind of view this Kiora deck as like a really strong contender, very strong on ladder. Again, that doesn't mean that like Kiora is not strong. Maybe it was a meta call. Maybe people like people are gonna be playing super aggro and I can't play Kiora. I don't know. Right. I take the kind of the Mythic tournament with a grain of salt. That's one data point. I think I look at this deck list database and I have I think a better representation of the design space or the competitive strategies that are available to the different planeswalkers. So yeah, I definitely think Driz could use some help. Ashiok could use some help. What was I gonna say? Vraska maybe. Um, Heck, maybe even a Johnny. Maybe you could do something to a Johnny. Oh, other planeswalker that is completely missing from all of this, and that is Yangling. Yangling, I've been saying needs help. I can't believe I just forgot this. There's two decks, but they both suck. I assume. Sorry, let me expand these a little bit. What the heck is Academy? Oh, it's Academy, and they're using what? They're using Isochron Scepter, Panharmonicon. Oh, and Decorative Armor. Sure. I mean, these lists just seem horrible. It doesn't matter how many of them I play; they all just seem terrible. I think Yingling needs a ton of help. Um, yeah. And why do I say like why am I talking about decks needing help as opposed to like what I think should be nerfed? That's because I'm not really sure anything in the game right now needs a nerf. Again, I've been talking about Garruk a lot as a very strong contender. I've been talking about Nissa as a very strong competitor. I don't think I've really seen them dominate the ladder. I don't think I've seen them. I don't think this tournament is evidence that Garruk is very dominant. I think it's evidence that Garruk has a good matchup against Nissa, and that's about it. I do think that there are some feels bad moments with Garruk as in terms of design. I think the Cursed Veil Predator and the Wild Speaker's Fury are such strong cards that it is pulling a lot of people towards the Planeswalker. Like that's again me in the starter deck tournament. That was one of the main reasons why I started playing Garruk, or I chose to play Garruk, was Cursed Predator and Wild Speaker's Fury just feel like broken cards when they happen, when you draw them and they work. So I don't know exactly what if something should happen to Garruk, or even if they decide to, what you would hit. Because I don't know how you would mess with the ability. The ability seems fine the way it is. I don't know what you would change about Cursed Predator or Wild Speaker's Fury to do anything about that. Um, I don't know. I really don't know what I would change about this Planeswalker if I wanted to nerf its power. Um, I generally don't know. Because like Crystal Predator, if you change that to maybe if you change it to 6 mana, it's a little bit weaker. I don't know. I don't want to touch Wild Speaker's Fury because if you nerf the mana cost, it becomes just the worst flagrant foul. So it's like I probably think that card should be left untouched. I think that card's maybe fine the way it is. It just feels really good when you pull it off. Um, and yeah, maybe just like Herschel Predator going up in mana is like a little bit of an adjustment, not trying to kill the Planeswalker. I think the card still sees play. I think the Planeswalker itself is still would be really good, even with that change. Again, I'm not advocating for this. I'm just trying to explore like and kind of get people's thoughts in terms of uh what would be nerfed, what would be buffed. Um yeah. As for what the buffs, I have no idea. I don't know how the design teams figure out what cards they should buff, but I trust them. They know what they're doing. The Blazing Minotaur change and things like that were and the Barbarian class change, all those things seem to be pretty good. So um I'm gonna leave those thoughts to them. But those are my thoughts. Again, I just wanted to kind of get my thoughts on before we see the changes and the updates. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed the video, remember leave a like, comment, subscribe. All this stuff helps me out. And again, let me know if you enjoy this type of content, find this valuable. If you want any other kind of analysis from me, tips, tricks, whatever, as opposed to just gameplay, which I'm happy to do. I'm happy to do either. But all right, guys, that's gonna do for me. Again, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys for the next video.